Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about one of the lesser talked about topics in early child development, and that is aesthetic development. And aesthetic development is the appreciation of and feeling of wonder towards anything that's beautiful. So, the aesthetic developmental skills, they use a lot of imagination, sensory inputs, and creativity. And you can see this developmental domain most tangibly in art and music activities with young children. In art and music, they're often overlooked as like less academic than like say math or science, but they are foundational to any type of brain development, any type of skill sets, because what any aesthetic activities do, they get both hemispheres of the brain working together, and they also contribute to all types of development. There's motor skills involved, there's cognitive thinking skills involved, there's language skills involved, there's social emotional skills involved. So one thing I really like to say, like in education right now, there's this very big push for STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and math. But you need STEAM. You need art in there. Science, technology, engineering, art, and math. Because you need the STEAM to make STEM work. And then, so one thing I'd like to note about the art and music activities, just before we get started into what the actual activities are for infants and toddlers, is one thing with art activities, these are focused more on the process rather than the product. So what that means is that the art activities, instead of like let's say showing a demonstration of like a cute little wreath that you want the kids to make, you're not going to show them that wreath. You're not even going to plan to make that wreath. It's going to be up to the child to decide what they want to do, and the focus is going to be on their basically their creative thinking process and self-expression, and they're going to be basically the ones to design what they want their masterpiece to look like. It's a lot of focus on the developmental skills behind the art rather than the final product of the art. And then with music, I want to note that while participating in music activities is definitely important, what is important as well is the creating of their own music. Those two things, they might seem very similar, but they have very different like skills they focus on. So in all honesty, probably creating their own music develops like a lot more skills and allows more practice of foundational skills than participating in like a song or dance. But both have their value. So now to get into the activities. So once again, I'm going to break this down into the age groups: the infants, which are below 1 year old, the young toddlers, which are between 1 and 2 years old, and the older toddlers, which are between 2 and 3 years old. So a really fun activity for infants is to show them a fine art book. And of course, this has to be with materials that are appropriate for infants. So it's going to be something that gets chewed on and stuff, spit on, torn a little. So I wouldn't go for like paperback books, expensive books. You can use the cloth books or board books. Those are what I would recommend for this age group. Or you can even make your own. I like to, in my own classroom, make a lot of my own books, even if it's just basic like picture books, like no words, just having the images, and then I laminate them. But if you don't have any laminating paper, or a laminating machine, one thing that works really well is you take like clear packing tape and put it over the paper just to make it a little more waterproof and a little more sturdy. So for this activity, it's a fine art book. So what I would like to do for this, I like to find like the art masterpieces, like get pictures of them. So like Van Gogh, Monet, like the ones you kind of like see in museums, and print out pictures of it and make my own book, like laminate the pages, then like clip them together, and there you have your own fine art book that's ready to share. There's also a bunch of different books out there you could purchase that showcase the different like fine art pieces out there, but making your own is perfectly fine. And if you make your own and you find your child is not interested in the pieces that you put in, you can always like find different ones, even if they're not like the biggest pieces. Like the next Frida Kahlo, they're any picture will do, as long as you're getting your child exposed to different like forms of art and just different like pictures. You can even put pictures of like clay pots, even like the difference between like a chalk drawing versus a like pointillism painting. The possibilities are really endless. The emphasis should just be on like different art forms and getting a young child exposed to that, and you as the adult talking them through all of that. And then a really fun music activity for infants is one that people have been doing like for the longest time, and it's so simple but it's so effective. It's just letting your child make music with pots and pans. Like give them a spoon in a bunch of different sized pots and let them bang on it. And I'm sure your child has probably, if they're at this age, tried to do the same thing at home. And I would encourage that. Even get them different types of spoons. Try like a metal spoon versus a wooden spoon versus a plastic spoon. The idea behind this is just getting them to experiment with not only different sounds, but making different sounds, and giving them the items they need to create those different sounds is a really good foundation for creating like their music sense skills. So for young toddlers, a really, really fun yet very messy activity is finger painting with different mediums. So one good thing to use is shaving cream. You can add some food coloring to it, or even some washable paint, and just let the child explore using their hands. So this is a very sensory experience for them, but it's also giving them a creative outlet, and they can even use their critical thinking skills as they're making different hypotheses over like which movements will create which marks through the medium. So you can use shaving cream, you can use plain old paint, you can, if your child is really prone to putting their things in their mouth and you get nervous about it, you can use like pudding. Another good thing, if you're in an environment where there's snow a lot, you can use snow. That's a really good thing. And if your child doesn't like all the sensory input on their hands, you can give them a paintbrush to do it as well, and it gives the same sort of activity experience. And then for a music activity for this age group, I think this is a really fun age to introduce different types of music, different genres of music, and also music from different cultures. And you can just have a dance party. You can have music that goes fast versus music that goes slow, and you can encourage the child to dance in a way that mimics the music. And this is just a really fun and great opportunity to expose your child to a very eclectic uh, background for music. And then for older toddlers, a really fun art activity is collages. Not only is this focused on the fine motor skills of gluing, it also gives them a lot of freedom in their creation. It can turn out however they want. And also, a really fun thing to do with your child is to go outside and choose the items for the collage. You can pick some flowers, get some leaves, some grass, some sticks, whatever they find, they can use and make a nature collage. Or if you're not able to do that, you can even use anything you have around the house. Even something as basic as some napkins. There's napkins with different texture, like from every different restaurant you go to, they're all a little different, and you can have your child like you can help them cut out shapes from there, and you can glue it, you know, just anything you have around the house to give them this experience of the creation of something out of nothing. And then for a music activity, something that's really fun and it does involve your input, it is composing their own song. So they might need a little help with this, especially if you want to keep the wording consistent. You'd have to be the one to write it down for them and then read it back to them. But this is a really fun thing to do, and it gets like their thinking going during this activity. You can start by asking them what they want to make the song about, and then ask them for different ideas. So let's say they want to make a song about, let's say, eating snack, and that's like their favorite thing, so they want to sing a song about eating snack. You can ask them like, oh, what's your favorite food during snack? And they can tell you, and you can help them incorporate that in the song, or even like their favorite place to sit, or what they like about snack. Any like ideas that you have, you can help them implement those into the song. And to help with the music piece to it, you can make the song in line with the tune and the melody of one of their favorite songs. So if they really like Twinkle Twinkle or ABCs or Baba Black Sheep, you can line up the lyrics to match that song. And I think this is one of the coolest activities to do with a child, especially when they get closer to the 3-year-old mark, because they come up with so many creative and ingenuitive ideas. And it's just a really good bonding experience. And this is something you can write down and preserve and then go back to as the child ages. And even when they get to adults, you can be like, look, this is the first song we made together. They might even want to do that with their own children one day. So that's it for the activities. I hope you learned a little more about aesthetic development. I just want to close with a quote from Darling Curia, just as an overall reminder as the importance of this and just the importance of children and their learning journey. So the quote says, "The work of young children is a natural art form. Playing, singing, drawing, and dancing are all forms of art." So thanks for your time. See you guys.